Hello, artful friends. I got a fidget spinner. I finally gave in. I got a fidget spinner. I got it for like $2 on Wish. Not sponsored by Wish. I wish, but I did get a fidget spinner. It's pretty cool. It was supposed to be a Galaxy, but it looks more like the printer had an issue. So you get all those lines of printer issue. You know how it is. I've heard good and bad things about fidget spinners, and my first time even being able to touch one, I already had this one coming in the mail. But at Acon, they were selling fidget spinners, of course, and so I finally got to pick one up and play with them. And I was just kind of like, okay, I don't fully get it. Maybe once you reach a certain age, you don't get it. I don't know. But it's pretty fun, and if I can do it just right, you feel the geometric pool of it, or whatever is supposed to be going on, the sciencey bit of it. But I did catch myself like all last night. I was messing with this and playing with it, which is, I guess, good. I'm not much of a fidgeter to begin with. I tend to sit pretty still and whatnot, so maybe that's why I'm not fully understanding. But it's fun. It actually is. And this one spins, I timed it, and it spins for about a minute and a half. So that's not too bad. It'll spin for quite a while. But I wanted to let you all know that I was interviewed for a podcast, and it was a podcast geared more towards parents, so people with kids and teenagers, and it was about cosplay. And I did leave a link down below in the description so that you can listen to that podcast. It was really fun to actually get to talk about something that I have been doing for like 10 years now. And I don't know, I wanted to be able to put it out there because I've heard a lot of people express that their parents don't understand cosplay, don't want them to cosplay, are concerned of all the aspects that come along with cosplay. So we did actually discuss a lot of that in this podcast. So if you have parents who maybe are still a little concerned about you cosplaying or still want to know more about it, I highly, highly, highly recommend that they listen to this podcast. So share it on Facebook, share it anywhere so that your parents can hear what exactly cosplay is like. I'm 25 years old, so I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the cosplay world, and that's why I was able to address a lot of it and whatnot in this podcast, so that parents kind of had a better understanding that yes, even though there's bad and ugly bits, it's still an amazing hobby to have and still is a great thing for other people to enjoy. And kids, teenagers, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your looks, it doesn't matter all sorts of things. I honestly believe anybody and everybody can cosplay, and if they want to, my dog just tried to sit on my laptop. Um, I highly recommend that if it's something that you're interested in, to go for it. And yeah, Nepeta has decided that she wants to be here, but I guess she doesn't want her face shown. I don't understand my cat a lot of the times. I really don't. I love her, but I don't understand her. But yeah, I thought that it was really fun to do, and I'm seeing somebody said that they looked for me at Acon, but unfortunately couldn't find me. and did see my cosplay videos and thought that cosplays looked amazing. Oh, well, thank you. I'm sorry that you weren't able to find me. I was all around, so I was hoping that by me just kind of like wandering around and whatnot, that people would be able to find me while I did that, but maybe some other con will be able to meet, because I would love to be able to meet all of my artful friends and whatnot. And is anyone going to stand Japan this year? Somebody is asking. I unfortunately cannot. Financially, I am screwed, so I can't do that right now. The other day, I felt really bad. I got this yesterday. So yesterday, I was playing with this, and a PETA came up, and she sniffed it. But of course, whenever you sniff it, it whacked her on the nose, and then she was just like, "It hurt me. You allowed it to hurt me," and I felt really bad because I was like, "So we can't be sniffing it." I know, though it's pretty enticing, probably to a cat. That's super enticing. A lot of little movement. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. Okay, she's sniffing lightly. She's not touching it. Okay, good. She learned her lesson. I feel really bad anytime my pets get hurt. I feel like Satan. And even if they hurt themselves, I still feel like Satan because I'm like, I allowed you to be hurt. I didn't want you to be hurt. I want you to be okay. Don't put your nose on it. Sneak. But I thought about getting a fidget cube also along with this. But then I played with a fidget cube that somebody had, and I was like, this is just not for me. The fidget spinner, I can kind of see myself playing with. The fidget cube, I think I would just end up breaking really quick on accident. Now, I did break this already. I had it, and I didn't even have it for 5 minutes in my hand, and I dropped it, and these little part right here decided to push all the way in because I had dropped it on tile floor, and it popped all the way in, and I had such a difficult time trying to get it back to being centered in there, and I was like, this is why I shouldn't touch things. But I was wondering, like, do other people break these easily, or am I just a huge klutz? I don't know. But I was excited very much to be interviewed on it was a parenting podcast. It's geared a lot more towards parents, so obviously the interview is a lot more geared towards parents and whatnot, but I do feel like even if you're just listening for your own sake, that you would be able to enjoy listening to it as well, because I have been doing this for so many years that I was able to talk about some aspects of it that I think anybody might be able to benefit from. I tried my best to, even though I knew I had to gear it towards parents, I really tried my best to also talk about cosplay as a cosplayer and from a cosplayer perspective that I wish that I had heard when I was just starting out cosplaying. I tried to talk a whole lot as if I was talking to my little self of things that I wish that had been said, I wish that I had been able to hear when I was getting my start in the cosplay world, because I feel like it could have made my cosplay experience a little bit easier starting out. So I highly recommend, and I'm seeing somebody say that they hate fidget spinners, and yeah, I've heard the good, the bad, and the ugly about fidget spinners. The thing about it is, I don't understand the hate for it, other than it got popular, and so popular things tend to get hated on or whatnot. Now, I will say, because I got this one for $2, so I would not because they are so popularized, I see them everywhere. I see them at the gas station. I see them at cons. I see them in abundance of places, and I do see the price on most of them, and they're super expensive. It's weird to me to hear people, like, maybe because I am below the poverty level, so let's get that out there, that I'm not saying, like, it's weird you can spend $10. That's not weird. If you have the $10, cool, spend the $10. I am below the poverty level, so I cannot spend $10 on something like this. And at the gas station, they've been selling them for the gas station by my place. They've been selling them for $10, and to me, that is ridiculous for just this. Like, I don't see the point of them being that expensive because, I mean, unless these bearings are really that expensive to get, but I've heard a lot of people, they can make their own fidget spinners because they have old skateboards that they're, my dog is trying again to sit on my laptop. I don't know what his deal is today. He has sat on my laptop 3 times today, which has been annoying just because like he always likes to sit on it at the worst time, so I'll be watching something or I'll try to be doing something, and then all of a sudden my screen starts like screwing up and I'm going, what the hell is going on? And he has his paw on it, or he has his head on it, or then he tries to fully butt sit on it. And I'm like, why? But yeah, $10 for something like this. And the $10 ones at the gas station that I have seen, they're not even cool designs. They're just some cheap plastic that's meant to look metallic and then has the bearings. And I'm like, is it really that expensive to make that you guys sell it for $10? I don't think so, but then again, I could be wrong. But if you're wanting a cheap fidget spinner, I highly recommend going on Wish and finding them so that, you know, you can at least experience what's going on. Kind of like I got this for $2, and I can experience what exactly everybody's been talking about. I'm fitting in, guys. No. But somebody said that there's a $55 one. Yeah, see that's way too much. That's ridiculous to me. And now I know like teachers say that they hate them and that they don't want them in the classroom and stuff like that. And I can understand if they're becoming a distraction or whatnot, but if somebody's just doing this while listening to the teacher, I don't see how this is more annoying than when I was in school, which long ass time ago, but when I was in school, the fidget thing that people would do was they would drum their pencils on the back of your seat. Now that's annoying. But we're not gonna say I don't want pencils in the classroom. But then of course like you get yelled at of don't bang it. Whereas this is quieter and it's more like on that person and their thing. But I can see how it would become annoying for a teacher if like they're hitting things with it, or they're just like showing off like, look, I can balance it on my nose, when they should be like in school learning. I can see then how it would get annoying. But as far as if somebody's just doing it for its intended purpose of playing with it as it's just intended, I think that's better than, like, my brother is hyper intelligent. He is God. He's extremely, extremely smart. And the thing about him is he doodles in class, and that's how he learns better, is if he's listening to the teacher, he'll just start doodling. And I think a teacher would be more angry if a kid was doodling because they feel like you're not paying attention. even though in my brother's case, he's paying a lot more attention when he's doodling than if he's just sitting there like this, and his mind can wander and go on to different subjects in his own head. At least he has something to like kind of distract his brain a little bit by doodling about rather than just sitting there. So I think the fidget spinner, I don't know that it would help my brother in his case, but like for a lot of people that I have seen who have used these in the classroom, whenever I was at a Votech not too long ago, seeing people just do stuff like this, and that's how they can kind of distract their mind just that enough much so that they're not sitting there thinking about other things. Because I get to that point where I'm very dyslexic. I'm excruciatingly dyslexic, and so reading is super difficult for me. And now I couldn't use this while I was reading. I would not be able to use this while I was reading whatsoever. This would just turn into, that's all my brain would be on, would be this. Whereas I did see a lot of people, they were able to use that while they read, and their brain didn't wander off to the grocery store of what they need to buy, or the video game that they wanted, stuff like that. Their brain stayed kind of more in the moment because they had this, versus just kind of like sitting there reading. So, because whenever I read, yeah, because it's so difficult for me, my brain will start going off of, I need to go buy toilet paper after school. I wonder what store I should go to. What all does that store have? What should I get from that store? Blah, de blah. And that's really worse of a distraction. Yeah, it's a quiet distraction, so teachers don't know. But then you're not paying attention to your schoolwork because your brain is so focused on other things. But I don't know. There's love-hate relationships with these little guys, and I don't understand it fully, the hate part, but I don't also understand the complete love and infatuation for them either. Why they're so expensive. I don't fully understand what made them so popular, because I see toys nowadays that whenever I was a kid, I would have loved those toys. I'm like, those are so cool, I need those. Whereas, had they given me this when I was a kid, I would have been like, the fuck is this? This isn't a toy. This isn't fun. This isn't interactive. Well, I mean, it's kind of interactive, but like, what is this? No, I don't want that. Whereas, yeah, we didn't have a whole lot, but nowadays I see toys that kids have that I'm like, that's so much fun. There's so much to do with that one toy. And there's technology in that toy. Even the Furbies. Like, back in my day, my Furby's eyes didn't move around and whatnot, and it didn't turn evil. That's something I've heard about Furbies lately, is that Furbies turn evil. My Furby never turned evil. My Furby barely did shit, and he wouldn't shut up. That's all he really did was talk. Whereas there's Furbies where their bodies move and their ears move up and down better than the old Furbies and whatnot. And I'm just like, so these kids have these amazing cool toys that I would have loved, and yet they want this. And I kind of like go back to thinking on how a kid at Christmas time will always play in the box rather than with the toy. If they got a big box, they'd rather play in the box than they would the toy that was in that. And that's kind of how I'm feeling about these things, is you guys have so many really cool toys, and they're so much fun, and they're interactive, and they don't just have beeps and sounds like that, but they can do a lot of things, and then this is what became the hyped popular thing. And I don't understand why. I guess like slap bracelets, whenever I was a kid, we had slap bracelets, and they were just this weird, it almost like a tape measure, essentially. type of material inside of a softer lining, and then you'd slap it on your wrist and it'd become a bracelet. And for some stupid reason, those got really popular, and people were like, slap bracelets are the best. But then it turned abusive, so like you get whacked by somebody really hard, and they weren't soft and gentle and delicate. They were like brutal. So like people would have red marks on their arms from where they'd slapped the bracelet on, and it was so loud on top of that that my school banned them. Kind of like schools are banning fidget spinners. They were like, no, you keep like making this loud slappy sound over and over, and you're hitting other people. And I don't know why we take to these little things that we can try to be more creative with, I guess, would be why they become popular, is because they're so simple, so you can do a lot more creative things with them to try to seem cool. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people who are like, can I balance it on my head? Can I balance it on my nose? And I've seen a lot of things like that, but I don't understand how, like, they're saying, like, oh, they're great for people with ADHD and stuff like that, which I can understand to a degree. I really can. But for everybody else, including myself, who does not have ADHD, they still became popular. And I don't know, like, had they not become popular, I wouldn't have seen this online and been like, I need to buy that. That seems like so much fun. I would have been like, okay, yeah, moving on. So I don't know. It's weird. Oh, somebody just brought up Tamagotchi. Holy, back in the day. Tamagotchi taught you that you don't want to be a parent. I think, like, I keep hearing the stigma about millennials, which I'm a millennial, is that some of them just were not having kids in our early 20s, like most people did, like our parents did and whatnot, because my parents were in their early 20s, and most people in this state, it was about like their early 20s whenever they had their first child. And now they're like, these dang millennials aren't making babies and blah blah blah. And I think it's because we had Tamagotchi. Who else can agree to that? If you had a Tamagotchi, can you agree that it made you feel like I am not ready for parenthood? Because with a Tamagotchi, my Tamagotchi, and then many other people that I knew who had Tamagotchis, it turned into a you dipped them in water. So essentially, you murdered your Tamagotchi because it just became so annoying. It had no off button, and you were like, I need to get rid of this thing now. So you would dip it in water, and everybody I knew dipped theirs in water and was done with their Tamagotchi. So we don't want to become parents because obviously you don't want to kill a kid. That's it's completely different from a toy that doesn't shut off to a baby that doesn't shut off and whatnot. You can't kill a kid. You don't want to kill a kid. So you learned from the Tamagotchi. It was the best birth control I could think of. It was amazing birth control because it's fun at first and it's cute at first, and then it just gets annoying. And then somebody's asking if I'm going to get into cosplay. I'm not going to get into cosplay today. Unfortunately, I just haven't thought of anything really to do. Yesterday, I went cosplay shopping. I had an amazing donation that I'm super thankful for that I put towards going out to try to do the how to cosplay on a budget video. So I did go out shopping yesterday, and I didn't really find anything really for it, like for the outfit. So I have to go shopping some more, but I'm waiting because I'm gonna go on better deal days at my thrift stores, my local thrift stores and whatnot. But I will be filming those and whatnot so that I can make that cool video. Now, because I did do a lot of thrifting yesterday, if you follow me on Snapchat or Instagram, you probably saw what I did find, which he was only $2. So it's not like I spent a hefty, large amount or anything. I got a ginormous Pikachu that is now sitting in the passenger seat of my car and will stay there. And he's going to be my cosplay shopping buddy so that I can go around cosplay shopping and have Pikachu in my passenger seat. So I am doing that because I do want to do this cosplay, and I'm also gonna do this video for it on how I cosplay on a budget and whatnots. But I'm having a difficult time. I'm realizing I was like, why did I pick this cosplay? Because I'm having a difficult time finding the articles of clothing that I need. I'm getting distracted. No, I'm kidding. But I am wondering, like, what cosplays would you like to see? Like, if I make little skit videos in cosplay, what character and what would you like that character to do? Because I still want to make cosplay videos very much. And I did see I don't fully keep up, like, where I have to get this many subscribers or anything like that, but I have been seeing that my subscriber count has been going just down, down, down anytime I upload, and that has made me kind of feel like I don't want to upload, just because I feel like what's the point of making a cosplay video if it's not even going to get 1,000 views. Not that I fully care about the view count, but it's one of those of I put in a lot of time, effort, and money into these cosplays and making these cosplay videos, and it can feel rather daunting and kind of worthless if nobody actually is going to care that I made it. So I've been struggling lately, I'm not gonna lie. I've been struggling a whole lot lately, and I need to get out of that rut and just do it and whatnot. But the last cosplay video that I put up, I lost over 100 subscribers, and it made me just kind of feel like, okay, so nothing I put out is good or is going to be good enough, so then I don't put any effort into making another cosplay video because I just feel like it's going to lose me a lot more subscribers and get me a lot more hate, because the last cosplay video also that I put out did get me a lot of hate, and I'm just kind of like, I'm a big boy, I can handle having hate and whatnot, but it's just one of those of whenever that kind of is the majority of what you're getting, you kind of feel like, why do I even do this? Nobody's watching, nobody wants to stay subscribed whenever I make a Homestuck video or make some type of cosplay video, and so it just makes me feel extremely upset. I don't know, like, it makes it to where it's harder. And somebody asked what happened to the other people you cosplayed with, and there's another reason why I have definitely been struggling to do cosplay, is because I don't have other people to cosplay with anymore, and that was a year ago that they left, exactly a year ago that they left, and I just feel like, I don't know, I've been having a hard time maintaining things when this was a group account and now it's a solo account. I've been having a lot of hard times doing that, and you should do cosplay tutorials, and that is actually what I'm kind of doing with the how to cosplay on a budget. It'll be showing step by step how I make cosplay and how I make them for super cheap and whatnot, but I am trying to figure out like what other type of tutorials that I could do in the meantime while I'm also doing this one, because I definitely know there are some amazing, wonderful, artful friends out there who are very loyal and they're with me no matter what, and they watch every video no matter what, and I I I'm with them on I want cosplay videos just as much as they do. I badly, 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 badly want to make more cosplay videos. I just need to get somebody to cosplay with, or find something that I can do solo cosplay videos that I can do by myself. So I tried to play with the idea of doing different cosplays that I can do by myself and how I can go about doing them by myself. And it's difficult, but I need to just do it because it is still something that I very much love. Now, if you live in Oklahoma and you are over the age of 18 and have your own mode of transportation and whatnot, and you cosplay and you would like to cosplay with me, I am down for that very much. I actually really am down for that. So if you want to go cosplay at a park and make a video, or if you want to, like, I don't know, like, we could cosplay together and whatnot, I am down for that. So if that is something that you're interested in, then you can always contact me through email at artfulimpersonator@gmail.com. Artful Impersonator spelled the exact same way here, at gmail.com. I am really trying to find how to do that. Now, I am going to con soon, like in 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. I'm going to con, and I'm hoping so badly to meet people and get to know people and whatnot who also have the same interests as me and whatnot, so that we can still cosplay and stuff like that, because I know all of you artful friends who were here for the group channel whenever this had a lot of people cosplaying, and those videos are still there. They are still available to watch and enjoy and stuff like that. But I also know that you're wanting new content, and I do too. I want new cosplay content just as much as you do. It eats at me every day. I try to find how to do all this stuff by myself, and I thought that I could do it, and it's proven to be a little more difficult than I thought that it would be, trying to transition from a group account to a solo account, just because of that's what everybody's used to, and I understand that, and I would love to try to get another group started, basically, like the same channel, but have new people, but I've been struggling to do that, and haven't found anybody really that would be able to do that or willing to do that. And so it's just kind of been a slow go process. It was a year exactly since I was left with this all to myself and lost all of my cosplay friends, lost everybody. It's been exactly a year. And I have to admit, like, this week especially, getting out yesterday was my first time getting out and actually doing something productive for this channel in a while. And it felt good, and I was glad that I was doing it. But then the rest of this week, because it was exactly a year ago, it was a year ago exactly that I was left, that this whole week I've just been sleeping and been super depressed. I had a panic attack at the very beginning of the week that lasted 6 hours, like over 5 hours, almost 6 hours. And then I had another one right after that that lasted an hour. And that one was extremely awful and really damaging to me and whatnot, that I've just been super depressed and not felt good. I questioned if I should put myself back in the hospital, because last year exactly I was in the hospital. And so this week I've been questioning, would that be safer? I'm not suicidal. I don't want to die or anything like that. But I'm like, I'm just not here. I just have been sleeping for days and not feeling good and feeling worthless. And then whenever I put out a video the unboxing video, I lost a lot of subscribers. And then especially whenever I put out the mental health doesn't define you video, that I kind of needed to just say that stuff because of how this week has been going. I really needed to just get that out there, my feelings, how I thought about things and whatnot. I needed a venting point. That's why I made that video, and I lost a lot of subscribers because of it and received a lot of, it was almost like a witch hunt of, as if I was trying to say things that I would never say, and people trying to like make me out to be an asshole, essentially, which not true. And people saying like, oh, you're, I had one person who just tore into me. I got a long ass email about how if I truly believed that, like, oh, well, if you think that people should just get off because their mental disorder made them do something bad and they shouldn't be in trouble for it and blah, 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 and they shouldn't own up to it. And I heard that a lot, but it was also like this email was super long and it was just really awful and making me out to be as if I truly thought that if you majorly hurt somebody with a mental, like your mental disorder caused you to really hurt somebody, that you should just get slapped on the wrist and that's fine and you're okay. And that's not even close to what I was saying in that video. That's not even close to how I feel. I feel like, yes, you need to own up and take responsibility that, damn, this mental disorder is causing me to do some very shitty things, and how can I go about fixing that so that doesn't happen again and whatnot. And that's what I've been doing. I see a lot of doctors and whatnot, and I'm on medication, and that's something that I've personally been doing, is owning up and taking responsibility for a year now, that, or almost a year now, because I didn't get diagnosed with what I have till like a month or two afterward and whatnot. But for quite a while now, I have been in therapy and been to doctors and with specialists and whatnot to try to help me to, you know, take ownership for the fact that those mistakes were made. Those people got hurt because of this mental disorder, and how can I go about so that that never happens again, and so that I am a safe person and a healthy person to be around. And so to hear like that, I think, oh, you should just, no, it's not an excuse of why you hurt somebody. It's an explanation of why you hurt somebody. But then you also, yes, do have to come into be accountable for it and say like, okay, even though I didn't mean to do that by any means, it still happened and I don't want that ever to happen again. So let me take ownership of it and try to get healthy and heal so that I don't ever do stuff like that. And that's what I've been doing for almost a year now. And it does feel worthless a lot of the times because I will never get anybody back. Nobody's going to care or whatnot. That nobody at all is going to care if I become the healthiest human being on the planet to be around. Those people who are hurt are going to stay hurt, or they're going to hold their grudges, and that does make it feel very worthless sometimes and whatnot. But then again, I know I'm better than whatever goes through their head. I know I'm 1,000 times better than that now, and they're just stuck in the past, and they've got me stuck in the past because they haven't met me yet. They haven't met me ever. My doctor even put it as they don't know me at all anymore. So we need to do, if it'll never happen, but like they would need a completely brand new introduction to me because they haven't met me, even though they knew me for years and whatnot. They were like, that's the past. They're stuck in the past. They're holding you to the past. They don't know you, who you are now after all of this brutal shit that you've been going through in recovery. They don't know who you are anymore, how you handle things. They can't predict you one bit. It would be like meeting a brand new person now. And so I've been trying to like feel better about that, of like, oh yeah, I've changed, I've developed, I've grown, I've matured, I got a handle on my mental disorder a little bit better, because I at least now know what I have, and I know how to work with it a little bit better and whatnot. And then I was told, like, oh, you're living in the past, let them go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think it's wrong to hold on to the positive of holding on to the past. I don't feel at all that that is wrong, because the positive is really great to hold on to, but I am letting go of a lot of the negativity from the past and just trying to focus on, I had happy parts of my past and whatnot, and how to then translate so that I have a happier future on top of that. How can I have a happy present and a happy future? And it's nice to hear that I am not at all the person I was whenever I started therapy last year and whatnot. That is very nice to hear. But I still have been extremely, extremely depressed. That is a part of my mental disorder that I cannot control whatsoever. Even though I have medication, it's not helping one damn bit. It's mostly side effects that I'm dealing with. Like, this medication has turned into nothing but side effects and no amount of help really at all that I've noticed. But it was supposed to help my depression, and I feel like I only have worsening depression lately. And I've just been bleh and don't feel good. And so whenever I do cosplay or I do something that makes me happy, and I'll post it and whatnot, and then to be torn down for the fact that I posted it and I did anything that made me feel happy, I was like, oh well, I don't know how, I don't know why. I, I don't know why. I just feel bad and I feel nasty and stuff like that. Like, nasty as far as I feel like depressed and whatnot. But it's one of those of, I know I'm not suicidal. And actually, a surprising thing that I came across this week is that none of my alters are suicidal anymore, which is a huge feat, a major feat. That's the best development that could have happened. And I'm extremely thankful for that. And it's really awkward, though, having alters. Let me just tell you, can be extremely awkward whenever you come forward. And like this week, I I told my family, I was like, so I came forward and realized that I was going 60 on a 45, like 45 mile per hour road. And I came forward and was like, I feel like I'm flying and like I'm going too fast on this road. And then I looked at my speedometer and I'm like, I'm going fucking say, are you kidding me? And like, so I braked and I was like, okay, I mean, I was doing well driving, I guess, but who the fuck was going 60? Because I don't need to get pulled over. I don't need to hurt anybody. I don't need to hurt myself. And I was like, okay, who's having too much fun? So I obviously can't get answers right away for that sort of stuff. So I wrote it out for them to find, any of my alters to find. And I was just like, so who was going 60 on a 45, and was that just for fun, or were you trying to hurt yourself, like get into a crash? Because I mean, there was nobody else on the road whatsoever. It was nighttime. But I was like, what was the reasoning behind that? And finally one of my alters did come forward and was just kind of like, yeah, I just like, I always speed at night and whatnot because that's how I feel more comfortable driving. And it wasn't at all to wreck. I don't want to wreck at all and stuff. And I was just kind of like, oh my God, I know that feeling. I used to do that all the time. I used to be a huge major speed demon, but I would go on little roads with absolutely nobody at all, and it would be nighttime, and I had a sports car, So it was the middle of nowhere. The worst I could have hit was a field, like not even a ditch, but just a field. So middle of nowhere. I live in Oklahoma, so I find those a lot of places, bumfuck nowheres. And I would go driving those, and I would see how fast I could get my sports car to go. And I never did it in towns. I always did it just where there was absolutely nobody. The worst I almost hit were deer. A lot of the time I almost got like where I'd hit deer. Never hit a deer, but I definitely had like a speeding addiction, I guess, like with my sports car. Now I don't even have that sports car. I actually saw my sports car the other day, and it set off my depression so badly, but it was also really cool because my sports car got destroyed by the person who was on this channel. Uh, I had given the car to them just because I felt like I owed them and whatnot. I did owe them, but they took the car, so I didn't have a car. Well, I mean, yes, I had a car at that time. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But I gave them that car, and then they called my dad and were like, "Hey, the engine's destroyed. Come pick it up and pay the mechanic and pay the tow truck." And so my family, we couldn't afford to deal with that and whatnot. So he just ended up giving it to the dump. And I never got to say goodbye to my car at all. And I loved that car. I had that car since I was 15 years old, and I loved that car. The car was my baby. It was a piece of shit at the end, but like I loved that car. And so then I was driving the other day, and I was like, looks like my car, but that can't be my car. Now, my car was a limited edition. It was a NASCAR edition, so it had some specialty things on it and whatnot. It was really NASCAR. But I was like, looks like my car, but that can't be my car. My car's on the dump. And then I saw the missing side, because there was a little part of the side that was missing. And I was like, okay, but that could happen to anybody. And then I saw the paint chips, which was exactly where my paint chipping was, and the exact same way as what it was. And then I saw another sign, which was where I used to have my Oklahoma Thunder little decal on it. I saw a little square, which is where the adhesive had been, and I was like, that's my fucking car. That is my car. Oh my god. And so, like, I just kind of, like, waved awkwardly. I had no clue who the person was in the car. They had a new tag on it. It wasn't, like, a real tag. It was those paper tags. So they had obviously just bought it. Waved. So I finally got to say goodbye to my car, which I feel like was a magical, magical moment. And I was super thankful for it, because I loved that car so much. Now I have a car, but I have to make car payments on it, which whenever you're dirt broke, I feel impossible. And I've been looking for a job. Another reason why I've been super depressed. I can't seem to find a job, and that's frustrating and awful as well. When that's all you're freaking doing is, and I have to move in a month, and I have nowhere to move to. I don't have money. I have to move. I don't have a place to go. It's been a scary set of circumstances right now, but I have been trying really hard. But something that also, whenever you're like, something with alters that I've been dealing with is I have one alter who is very young. I want to say like they're probably my fifth grade self, more than likely, like my fifth grade or sixth grade or so. Like they're pretty young mentally, and the way they behave and like things that they talk about don't add up to their age. But I'm like, I'm 25. They've lived my life as well. So even though they may still mentally be stuck at that one point, they still maybe do have these memories, because they have memories that are from like even 2 years ago and whatnot. So it's odd because I know that they're much younger. I know that they're my little self, but they do remember things from while I'm in my 20s and whatnot. So that's been awkward, but it's awkward to find stuff like this because I don't draw, and that definitely screams to me that's my 5th grade self, because this is how I just used to doodle and draw in 5th grade and whatnot. But I don't know. It's been frustrating and weird, and just finding random stuff like this is pretty awkward. And also finding random weird. My dog is sitting on my laptop again. I need you to not. He's like trying to shut it with his butt. But it's also really weird to find pictures that they will take on your phone of just stuff that has set me off and made me really just depressed and upset. And that happened this week. They took a picture of something very, 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 very personal to me, and they messaged somebody about it and were talking about it, and just it broke my fucking heart because I did have to deal with something very traumatic recently that I think really did just set them off, and they're really depressed and they're very upset, and they were expressing that a whole lot. And it's one of those of, I had something excruciatingly close to me, somebody that I really loved, very dear to my heart, and they had been laid to rest, so they're dead, and they got dug up, and there was just a huge that was super traumatic getting to like see that and whatnot, and that happened like this month, and so super traumatic, super upsetting. That's somebody that I love very much and whatnot, and having to witness that is not okay and fucked up, and I just was so angry and pissed and told like legally there's nothing you can do, they're allowed to do this and stuff like that. And just it's traumatic to me because that, like, whenever you put so much love and stuff into somebody and you care so much about them and whatnot, and I was a very, very lonely child, let's just put it there that way. And so growing up as a very lonely child and whatnot, and then getting to, that's somebody that you told everybody to everything to, you let all your guard down and whatnot and stuff. It's not fair that they are allowed to do shit like that. And it really upset me, it really pissed me off, it really traumatized me. I I just that's I don't know, that's not okay. And so then um dealing with that, but then finding like these drawings and realizing like, oh well, so and so was out, and then finding messages on my phone and finding pictures on my phone and stuff. I was just like, this is killing my little self. This really hurt my little self in a very awful way, and I don't know, it fucking pissed me off, and it really upset me, and I don't know, I get extremely upset by stuff like that. And something that like my mom has always told me is protect your little self. Your little self doesn't need to be hurt any more than your little self already was and stuff. So protect your little self, take care of your little self and whatnot. They don't deserve to be hurt. They're young, they're stupid because they're young. You can teach them and whatnot, and you be good and have a happy life that they deserve to grow up to have and stuff like that. And so to have shit just keep happening and whatnot lately has just been awful. And I don't know, I get very pissed off and upset by anything like that, especially related to death. I get extremely pissed off because I do feel, okay, if somebody dies and whatnot, if anything, that it deserves respect and whatnot and handled with respect. I'm the type of person where, like, I saw this was many months ago, like quite a few months ago. I saw a dead dog on the side of the road, like in the road, I mean, and I felt just compelled. I was like, I have to turn around and I have to get that dead dog off the road because that's somebody's pet, that's somebody's baby, and um, I can't just leave that. It was a Shiba Inu on top of that, which I was like, okay, those aren't normal in Oklahoma, really. Like, that means that was definitely somebody's baby. And so I turned around and I went and got it. And thank God, this guy who had a truck, he also had pulled over and he was like, oh, like, we got it into his truck. And he was like, I'm gonna put out there that I found the dog and whatnot, and I'll try to find the owners. And because I was just like, I don't feel right about just letting it like be in the road to be hit even more and whatnot. And he was like, yeah, no, he was like, I didn't either. He was like, so put it in the back of my truck because I didn't know what I was really gonna do with it necessarily because I was like, okay, I have this dead dog, but am I gonna put it in my car, which like that would be on my fabric seats? And I was like, I mean, if I have to, or do I put it in the trunk? And I was like, I don't really know, but I was trying to like figure that out. And thank God this guy came along and was like, just put it in the back of my truck, and I'll try to find the owner and whatnot. He's like, I just didn't feel right either about leaving it. And then not too long ago either, I found a dead bird and it was a parakeet. So I was like, okay, these aren't wild in Oklahoma. So this is somebody's pet. And so I picked it up and it was on my apartment complex. So I was like, maybe it's somebody in the apartment complex's bird. And I kept it in a little box and I put it in the freezer so that it would be preserved and okay. And I kept like putting out there like all over that I possibly could that I found it, and nobody claimed it. It didn't have a little band or anything like that, so I could track down any information about it. And so that was super depressing and whatnot. So I've just been having a very difficult time lately with dealing with stuff like that. And obviously, my alters are just feeling it too and having their own opinions about it and their own upsets about it. But yet, the great news is none of them are suicidal and neither am I, which that's rare. Normally, it's like they're not suicidal, but I am, or I'm not and they are, and stuff like that. And thankfully, as of this week, even though we've been super, super, super depressed and just sleeping a lot and not wanting to really do anything, still everybody's expressing like, no, they still want to live. Yes, they felt better after being told like, you are not even close to who you were last year. You are a much better person. You are a much healthier person. You do not deserve to ever be compared another day of your life as the past and whatnot and stuff like that. So I think that helped a whole lot in us feeling better and stuff like that. But it's just been quite a weird one and stuff. It definitely has been really weird. But last night, because I had slept all day, uh, after I had done all my shopping, I went to bed super early and stuff, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, I kept waking up off and on, and I was like, I need to do something productive. And it was the middle of the night, so I was like, what productive can I do? Because I can't go cosplay shopping or anything like that. So I decided to start my other novel. So now I'm writing two novels at once because I did get stuck on my first novel. I just got super stuck, and I was like, I can't think of anything like to keep this going. And right now, like, I don't know, there's an element of it that I wish I hadn't have added, but my little self added it, and I was like, I can work with it, okay, whatever. Why the fuck I can't work with this? I don't know what to do. So I started another novel, So I'll be writing 2 novels at once. So if I get stuck on one, I can go the other. And then if I get stuck on the other, then I can go the other one and stuff. So that'll be nice. And yeah, they're both like where they're stories that I've had for a few years now that I've wanted to write into a novel form and whatnot, and just haven't ever got around to. So I'm like, I better get around to that eventually, and no time but the present. So I've decided to start those and whatnot. So I hope that once they are done and stuff, that I will be able to share it with all of you, and that would be a lot of fun. I don't know like how I'm going to go about publishing, if I'll self-publish or if I'll start with real publishers first. Like, I don't know just yet, but I'm excited to see where it takes me. But I hope that you all have been having a good week. I know it's hump day, so it's only the middle of the week, but I hope that you've been having a good one. I know that a lot of people are out of school now, so that is awesome. You get summer break, you get a really cool place. Do you have an outlet for your novels? I'm in the middle of writing a novel and I plan to publish, so I'm just curious. I don't know what an outlet for my novel means. Like, if it has a website or something like that. No, I don't. I just right now I'm starting it, and so I'm just like writing it on my computer and just seeing where it goes. I don't even have titles for them yet. One of them right now is saved on my computer as chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Like, that's how I have it saved. So I don't even have anything really going for it just yet to be able to um that I'd want to start a website, because I'm just kind of, or anything like that, just because I'm like, uh, and about sharing it to get feedback and whatnot. I worry about that if I do want to get published by a real publisher. They ask that, like, it's not been online and that it hasn't been shared around and whatnot, that you send it only to um, the publishers first and whatnot, so that it's this fresh book that nobody's read, blah blah blah. So I'm gonna try to keep it as that right now. But I mean, if somebody would like to edit, like if anybody has editing skills for editing a novel, I'm extremely dyslexic, and that would be very helpful. But I would go about that as it's just between the two of us and nothing be shared and stuff like that, and that it just be shared through those emails, but nobody else gets to see it and stuff like that, so that if I do want to publish it with real book publishers, then it's still fresh and whatnot. So I don't know. And then self-publishing, I mean, then I can do whatever I want, but I'd probably start out with the real publishers first to see how that could go about. And then if I need to self-publish, then I mean, I'd have to get some money together for that and then self-publish, and hope that artful friends and stuff like that would love to buy the books. But I don't know. Right now, it's just kind of that I've always wanted to write a novel. I've only finished one in my entire life. As a teenager, I finished one novel, and I started one in grade school. I had started one, and that one I thought about starting now that I'm 25, and I was like, I want to write a novel. I want to be able to finish a novel. And this one that I've had since 5th grade that I work on about like a little bit every year, I was like, let's see if I can just like make that one. And then I like read the note from my little self that I wrote in 5th grade so many years ago, which was, don't write this until you have a whole lot of experience. Don't write this until you have enough experience. And I was like, okay, I'm 25. I've been around the world. Don't speak the language. I Not that I've been around the world, but I was like, I mean, I've got experience. And then I was like really looking at what exactly my little self was wanting wrote and stuff, and I was like, yeah, right now I'm not the person to be able to write stuff like that. I was like, damn, I really don't have a lot of experience for like what my little self was wanting, and my little self was right. It would be wrong to try to write about this when I don't have enough experience with it and stuff to be able to write it genuinely and stuff, because I'd be pulling at strings or just pulling from one relationship that ended up really bad and stuff, because my little self was like, this needs to be a love story, but it needs to have real feeling to it and being able to get through anything together and fighting for each other. And it needs to be just, it needs to feel true, and it doesn't need to feel forced. We need the fights, we need the where you want to leave but you don't and stuff. We need that sort of true emotion to it. And I was like, I don't have the experience right now to write something like that. And because I haven't had anybody stay or willing to fight or anything. And that's not why I've had issues in my relationships by any means. That it was never for like writing purposes or something. It's just been like, I have a relationship, I've had a very true relationship, and unfortunately I wasn't good enough to fight for or stay with. So I don't have the experience of somebody staying in that respect and whatnot. And so I was like, yeah, right now I'm not the person to be writing that. So I just haven't. So with these ones, one's fantasy based, kind of like it's a more fantasy type of world, and then the other one's a little more true to life sort of story. So I'm trying to keep it like I try to keep things as real to life and emotionally raw, and having characters that aren't perfect and whatnot, to where like they're actual like people where they have flaws, and we don't have the goody two shoes main character or anything like that. Where everybody's got flaws and everybody's fucked up, and you do things that make absolutely no sense to even your character sometimes because of situations that you're put in. That's kind of how I like to write my stories. It is a little more true to life. But anyway, I know that it's getting pretty late for some people's and for me and whatnot, and I haven't eaten today, so that's how I've been. Not good. I don't recommend. Like, I do not recommend being like me right now at all. But I hope that you all have a really good night. And again, check out the podcast in the description down below. I know, like, right after the summary of it, it says there's a link for, like, listen to the podcast. So I highly recommend checking that out and listening to that, and sharing it with your parents, sharing it with anybody who's questioned you about what cosplay is. It's a short, really good example of here's what cosplay is, here's why it's a good hobby, and stuff like that. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly, but here's why it's all worth it in the end and stuff. So I highly, highly recommend going and listening to that down there. And it's also really weird because talking to the person who did the interview and whatnot of, should we use your real name or should we just leave it at KW? And I was like, well, I mean, if we're going to be talking to parents who don't understand this world, like, that their teenagers are in, they're not going to feel I'm human enough if I'm hiding behind KW. So I was like, let's use my real name. That way they know I'm a real human being and whatnot. And so that's a little weird, but I mean, if that's been interesting to you as to why I go by KW, it is just for safety's sake. Employers like that I have this so that it's not just me as myself online, and maybe they don't like this cosplay thing and they don't want to hire me because of this cosplay thing. It's pretty nice to just have this kind of a little bit of a shield, an alias basically, so that the real world can't necessarily find me and whatnot, just so that I don't seem too weird and I seem like I am actually reputable, because I am, but they want to make sure that I have that. And so I feel better doing this and just having KW is what I go by online. But if you've been interested why KW is the thing, it is from Homestuck, of just kind of your code name. They always use 2 letters for their names. So I took my first name initial and I took my last name initial, KW. So if that's been interesting to you or anything like that, I highly recommend going checking it out. And I will talk to you all later. So thank you. Bye.